In today's show, we're going to be going over three main topics for the Detroit Lions news. We signed a player to the practice squad. What does he bring to the Detroit Lions? All of that because it is the edge position. We'll get into that player. Micah Parsons was traded to the Packers. How does it affect the Detroit Lions? Pros and cons for him coming to the NFC North. We'll get into that one. And then lastly, we're going to be talking about Brad Holmes, talking about Tate Ratledge, and we're going to be talking about the offensive line because that's extremely important. Let's get into it right now. The Detroit Lions have signed Andre Carter, the second to the practice squad, another defensive player coming to Detroit as of recently. We signed a safety and a couple pass rushers. We got another one here in Andre Carter, 6'6", 256 pounds, 25 years old. This is his second season. What has he done in preseason? Well, not a lot because it's preseason. 2 solo tackles, 1 sack. I could go close to 2 sacks, I guess a half a sack. 0 forced fumbles, 0 interceptions. As you know, the Detroit Lions defensive line is a little bit, I'd say, underwhelming at the moment in regards to the depth. So he'll come in here, and same with Ukwu, who was signed to the practice squad as well. Giving the Lions younger players on the Detroit Lions defensive line. Bringing in Tyrus Sweet, Tyler Lacey. We picked up Al-Qadim Muhammad last year, so youth on that defensive line. Now this brings the total practice squad up to 16. He comes in with Jacob Saylor, Zach Horton, Jackson Meats, Tom Kennedy, Ronnie Bell, Dan Skipper, Tristan Colin, Mason Miller, Michael Neese, Isaac Ukwu, Miles Adams, Keith Cooper, Anthony Pittman, Eric Hallett, Lauren Strickland, and Andre Carter. That's who he is. What do I think? How does it affect the Lions overall? He's a depth piece. That is it for development. Nothing crazy. It's not going to affect anything significantly on the Detroit Lions defensive line. It's not. You need to sub to the channel. Why is that? Because we are bringing Lions news, and it's breaking news, and we'll try to jump on here and give it to you immediately as fast as we can. Subscribe to the channel. If you didn't know, if you're living on a rock, Micah Parsons last night was traded to the Green Bay Packers, and it started a firestorm here in Detroit. This will be the last time I'm really talking about him in the trade. Next time I talk about Micah Parsons, it will be the breakdown of the defense of the Green Bay Packers. I'm just going to look at him as a player in the teams. This is the last day that we're talking about the trade itself. But there's pros and cons for him coming to the NFC North. So let's go ahead and get into it because the world's not ending. We'll start with the cons first. Here are things that it does hurt the Detroit Lions having him in Green Bay. He is a perennial defensive player of the year candidate, and that is a fact. The guy can put up sacks in 13 games, 12 sacks. He is a pass rusher. That's why he's getting a lot of love in the media after the trade. It's why the Jerry Jones saga and everything. So he is a great player coming to their defense. He'll be lining up opposite of Rahsan Gary, and that's scary. That is a 1-2 punch for pass rush coming at you. Taylor Decker and Penei Sewell are going to have their hands full, right, for Green Bay when we face them twice a year. This is what it affects the most to me. The edge market has been reset ahead of the Lions deal, and it affects how we pay Aiden Hutchinson. It affects the Lions big time. Why is that? Because it reset the market, and you know that Aiden Hutchinson is going to demand more. He's going to want more from Micah Parsons because, in my opinion, Aiden Hutchinson is far better than Micah Parsons. So why would he settle for second rate? He wants to be the top pass rusher signed. So of the negative thing about Parsons to the Packers that affects directly to the Detroit Lions is not just the play on the field, but the pocketbooks of our team. That's why I really wanted them to get the Hutchinson deal done, before other deals were coming up. We seen the big deals, and I was hoping that we can be like last year and get ahead of it, but we didn't. But he's going to be a handful. But thankfully, we have a Penei Sewell. We have a Taylor Decker. They're pretty good bookend tackles, if you ask me. We're going to need it, right? We're going to have our game stepped up, and that's just the way it is. And the division got better because of him coming into the division. So that is a fact. The Packers right now, in my opinion, are a better team than they were before they traded it. So that's just a fact. It's a fact. Will the Lions win the NFC North after Parsons was traded to the Packers? Y for yes and N for no. Let's get into the pros for the Detroit Lions when Parsons was traded to the Packers. Pros here. Parsons has just 10 days to acclimate to taking on the Lions. We face them soon, week 1. So he's not going to know all of the defensive schemes, and I'm going to assume they'll probably have him on maybe 50% of the plays. They're not going to have him on a full usage because there's no way he can know the playbook. But what they'll do is, when it's time for him to pass rush, they'll say, pin his ears back, and he'll go after it. So I don't believe in week 1 we're going to get the best of Parsons. We'll be waiting that for Thanksgiving when we face Green Bay at Ford Field. Kenny Clark is out of the division. He was a great run stopper for the Green Bay Packers. Parsons is not a good run stopper, so their run defense just took a hit. Now the Lions, if we are getting pass rush, it's simple. Run down their throat. The ability to pass rush is awesome, but if you can't stop the run, you're going to have a problem. If you can't stop the run, you're not going to win football games. The Lions and other teams, they'll probably be going in that direction, running the football a little bit more. Packers are going to take on a $26.9 million cap hit by dealing Clark. That's huge. That's a big old cap hit, so that hurts their pocketbooks. It does. This is an all-in move. This is like the Khalil Mack trade that happened years ago in Chicago. It has to pay off, or it can really screw up their cap years down the road. $47 million per year will impact their ability to sign players. Absolutely, that's going to hurt down the road. Just like I said, this is an all-in move. And for their organization, I think it's the correct one, right? They're trying to win a Super Bowl, and the division is harder, so they're going all in. They're putting the chips in there, see what they can get done. The Packers are without their next 2 first-round picks. This is big. If it does not pan out, that is going to hurt their team. In 3 years, they're going to have a real problem. Houston's going to have we say Houston has a problem when he was in Detroit and now he's in Dallas. They'll have a problem, but it's got to work out in the next couple years for Green Bay, or you're losing these high draft picks that they have is going to hurt their team down the road, considering the fact, when I look at Green Bay, they're not the best in regards to drafting players. If you look at the players that they got, Brad Holmes is a much better drafter. They're about 50-50 in the first round for Green Bay, so that is a problem for them. So all in all, there's good and there's bad. But here's my suggestion to Lions fans. Worry about our own team. We can't worry about what other teams are doing. At this point, we're trying to win a Super Bowl. Is Green Bay better? Yes. But are they the team that we're trying to really compete with to win a Super Bowl? I would say it's Philadelphia at this point. Their defensive line is scary. Their defense is scary, and they just won a Super Bowl. Their offense is good. So we're trying to keep up with the Philadelphia Eagles. So with all due respect, even though Parsons is going to be a problem in Green Bay, and we're going to face him twice a year and all of that, our end game is to win a Super Bowl. So we got to be the best team in the NFC itself. That's what I'm looking at. Best team in the NFC. And we'll see what the Lions will do going forward. So, again, will the Lions win the NFC North? What do you guys think? Y for yes, N for no. let's get into Brad Holmes and what he said about Tate Ratledge, and I think this is important about the offensive line going forward. He says, I think we could have handled it if he could have left him there, talking about Ratledge at center. But when you start looking at the whole combination of him and Graham Glasgow and everything, I think that is the best thing for him, not only for players being put in the best positions, but also for the team because we didn't have any kind of questions. We knew he was a right guard. Like, we already know that. So we were very confident about that. Holmes continued on. We're confident in them hitting the ground running, talking about the offensive line. Not only just with the players, but the coaching that we're receiving. But there's some youth along there, and there's going to be some growth moments. But those guys are wired right. So they're going to learn, and they're going to grow in the moments they come. That's what I think is great about this place, is we talk about the most getting them prepared for those moments. So it's going to come, and I think it should come, just because that's how it's going to get better. Says, I don't know the future's going to bring, but yeah, I think we felt about trying him at center. Holmes said we felt confident about the center stuff, and he's shown that he's going to be able to do it. So in an argument that the ceiling even higher than a center, so we'll see what the future holds, but we feel confident going into it. So it definitely looks like that he is the future center for the Detroit Lions, and that's fine. Remember, we got Frank Ragnow. He actually played guard the first rookie year, and then the second year he went to center. So Tate Ratledge right now will be playing guard, and that is the Lions' offensive line right now. Not too bad. But what about the future offensive line? What does the future look like? Well, let's kind of look at here. Now, I put this up here. This is for next year's offensive line or the future itself in general, because we have done a youth movement upon the Lions' offensive line. Penei Sewell, Christian Mahogany, Tate Ratledge, right? We're filling through them. Who will be the Lions' right guard next year? Could it be a player already on our roster whom we drafted who is injured right now? I would absolutely would love that. I would love to see that occur. I would love to see the Lions have that ability of Miles Frazier to come in and be that guy, but we don't know. But all I know is if we look in next year's draft, say that Frazier does work out, there's only one guy left, right? Taylor Decker at that point. Or if Frazier, they don't think the development is good, they could pick another guard in the draft early. Then the Lions have really set the tone on the offensive line for a decade, in my opinion. It would be an awesome thing. They are changing this offensive line and getting youth, and that's a good thing. So I'm excited for it, and I'm happy that the youth movement, look, it sucks that Frank Ragnow is gone. That sucks, man. Imagine having him and Tate Ratledge at guard. It would be an elite offensive line. But I'm happy this organization has taken steps to begin the youth movement because you don't want to be screwed. And just like Brad Holmes was saying, he does it a year in advance. So Miles Frazier most definitely could be that guard. And if he does, I like him too. That would be awesome. It would be an amazing draft. We don't know it yet, but that could, if he comes in next year and is our guard, you got Christian Mahogany, Tate Ratledge, Miles Frazier in mid-rounds. Yeah. So we'll see. But if not, hey, the Lions have options, and that's why we have our draft picks, folks. So give me your thoughts in the comments below. With that said, folks, adios.